It is now time to experience the buzz, a podcast that takes an inside look at amazing people doing amazing things. Get ready for some great conversation that will be fascinating, educational, and inspiring. We will also leave room to help small businesses in a big way. Now, here's your host, entrepreneur Steve Buzzard.
Hey everyone, welcome in. It is another edition of Experience the Buzz. I am your host, Steve Buzzard. I am from Sacramento. I wasn't born here. I was born in Virginia, but I lived pretty much all my life in Sacramento. I went to A.M. Wynn Elementary. Anybody out there? I think we're the Panthers. On to St. John Vianney, then on to Christian Brothers, and then I took a tour down to USC, came back to Northern California, and I have been here ever since. My dad was a military guy, and you know what? Just love Sacramento. I don't have my Sacramento versus everybody on today, but usually I'm wearing that, and just very proud of the city, and that is why this podcast is in place. It's really to highlight the people of Sacramento, whether they're an entrepreneur, small business owner, or just a personality out there. And in this case, we've got entrepreneur, small business owner, and personality is Sarina Paulson. She is the owner of Willo Salons. There are 4 locations. The one in Sacramento you may be familiar with. It's in Loman's Plaza. But then the people in Roseville, if you're listening, out at Fountains, you know that they have a great store out there. And then I believe the one in Fair Oaks is on the corner of Sunrise and Madison. Those are the ones that have been open since 2019. She opened 3 stores, and then the newest location is in Elk Grove. So we're going to continue our conversation with Sarina. If you missed last week, I invite you, and I in fact encourage you to go back and listen to part 1. That will help set up what is going to happen today, because we're going to dive deeper into our conversation, bridge everything together. But more on Sarina in just a moment. It's time for What's the Buzz? All right, so as we mentioned, we got a brand new format. We're taking a full conversation, now dividing it up into 2. Did a little research, and the research showed that, people that listen or tend to listen like to listen to kind of like shorter in length. And, I thought about it. I was like, well, what do I listen to? And I've noticed that, I too, I'm more privy to go to the podcast that's going to be under 45, maybe even 30. And I have those ones that are quick poppers, like 5 to 10 minutes. There are some that I listen to that are hour and 15. So, but I know I need to dedicate time to it, right? I've got to be in the car for that duration, or be able to have that time aside to be able to listen. So it got me to thinking, because the big thing for me is I don't want to cheat the conversation. Like, I'm not going to shortcut when I talk to someone. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe the best way to do that is just to take a full conversation, divide it in half. So that's what we're doing, and you're getting part 2. So there you have it in a nutshell. Also want to let you know, if you would like to become a sponsor, very easy. You can go to buzzardball.com, go to the sponsor link. You can see everything laid out there, but I would encourage you, just reach out to me, tell me what you're all about, and we'd love to highlight and spotlight you. We've got 3 of them. Sponsors. We've got Little Will Swim School, along with R5 Stitch and Print, and our good friends at Pit Boss Jerky. Pit Boss and R5 have been with me since day one, and Little Will Swim School not much further after that. So very good stuff. And now let's go ahead and get ready for today's second installment of our conversation with Sarina Paulson. Enjoy the conversation. And welcome in, everyone. Yes, it is Experience the Buzz, new format coming your way. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode, because guess what? We're featuring the same person. We've got a new format where we are taking a full interview, which we have done for the first 114 episodes, but now we just want to kind of split it up. So, right, like a teaser for the first week, and then you get a little bit more. And we are with Sarina Paulson. Sarina Paulson is the owner of Willo Salons. And Sarina, glad to have you again, and thank you for being a part of the new format here on Experience the Buzz.
Thank you so much for including us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, so last week we were talking about, just basically your origin of growing up in Sacramento, your work with JC Penney, and then the merge into what you are doing now, which is being the owner of Willo Salons. And we ended with the conversation about team. And I can tell just by talking with you, like, that's your strength, right? And you really focus on that. And to me, and I've expressed this to other small business owners that have brick and mortar and have big teams, I can't quite wrap my mind around it, because for what I do, yes, I have people, but it feels different. And I can't imagine in my mind trying to operate a business with a whole bunch of people, right? But you do that so well. I just want to kind of know what the secret sauce is.
Gosh, I think it's understanding what motivates them, what's important to them.
Yeah.
If you make it important to your team, and you can't just do this in a way that you kind of pencil with it, it has to genuinely come from a place of care and concern for your team, then they will be more likely to care about what it is that you're asking them to do. We always say, like, we're a Willo family. We have our own internal Facebook page that's actually called that, where we celebrate our team's accomplishments, birthdays, anniversaries. We lift them up. But it's understanding, like, what makes them tick. I've had staff that says, I'm a single mom, I want to buy a house, for example. Okay, well, what do we need to do to help you get there? Let's figure this out. How do we need to increase your productivity? What does that mean in terms of your output, right? In terms of what your revenue and what you're going to make. And then connecting them with somebody in the industry that's a mortgage broker that will help guide them. What do you need to do in terms of increasing your income to be able to qualify? What would you qualify for if you did that? Just helping kind of hold their hand to things that matter to them. And it's really rewarding. We've seen people buy houses, buy a new car, accomplish these goals. I sit down with them each quarter and we talk about, what are your hopes and dreams? Let's review your results, and what are your hopes and dreams, and what is the roadmap that we need to do to help you get there. So, I know it sounds cliche, but honestly, if you really care about your people and you really care about where they're going in life, it's really simple from there. It just really is.
Sarina, it is simple. I know, and it's weird that, like you said, yeah, it's cliche, but it is cliche. It is simple. It's like, just take care of your people. So I think the big question I should ask is, how many people do you manage, right? So what is that number? I think that's important for people to know.
So right now we have 67 employees, and we're continuing to hire. It's really grateful that we're in a period of growth and we're able to hire. So yeah, we have about 67 people.
That's great. And I mean, you're showcasing that you are, while you have things in place, right? You have processes in place, you still take that extra time to meet people where they're at. I think that is such an important thing for people to realize. You can't treat everybody the same, because they're not the same. Everybody has different circumstances, and it looks like you're very in tune with that.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. Everybody's a different place in their life, right? And so you could have the newly licensed cosmetologist that, still lives with their parents and is just starting out, but they need something completely different than the person that's a single mom and trying to support her family. And so you have to know your audience. That really applies to any aspect of your life, right? Knowing your audience is super important. But it means so much to me when I hear from my team, like, you helped me do this, or I see the change from one quarter to the next in terms of their results, and we celebrate that. We've celebrated people having babies, people getting married. I mean, all of those things are so important. I think, as I mentioned in our first segment, I watched my mom do that. I shared some of the examples of things she did, and so I think that probably was one of the best examples for me, is seeing how she invested in her team and realizing the importance in that. But then I felt that as somebody did that to me when I worked at JC Penney, did that for me, and what that meant to my growth and why I'm here. And so I think if we all as a community realize that, right, how people pour into us and how we do that to someone else, will make this a much better world than where we're at right now.
I love it. And the way I look at it is, I'm all about moments, creating moments, right? And they can be very small, but yet they're very impactful. And you don't do them on purpose. You just look for them and then you do it. Obviously with me working with kids, it's a little bit easier, right? Because, they're just looking for those great things to happen, whether it be, I'm, doing basketball or I'm doing a party or something. Like, I really look for those moments. So even on the adult side, it's the same thing, because in this case, people just want to be loved. Yep. They want to be appreciated. And yes, you got to give them a pat on the back. It's a necessary thing to do, because that's what's going to motivate people to, work harder and be the best version of themselves.
Yeah, I think that, for anybody listening, I would say that I do give constructive feedback to my team.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them,
that's important.
Hey, we dropped the ball here. What happened here? What could we have done differently? But I think if you balance it with making sure that the accolades come as much or if not more than the constructive feedback, they're more open to listen. Same thing for kids. If you're constantly focusing on bad behavior and not rewarding the good behavior, then it kind of puts them in that mindset like, well, I don't do anything right. And so that is something that we really focus on. I have an amazing management team. They understand my expectations, but they're very aligned, which is why we work so well together. But we'll give feedback and we'll say, hey, how could we have done that differently? What would that have meant to you, right? If you, like, for example, if you have a guest and maybe didn't provide the best service, they're upset about the service, that also didn't benefit you because you want a repeat client.
Right.
So what do we need to do differently so that it benefits both of us? And that really is applicable in any part of any business, really.
This is so funny that you say, because we're going through something where my oldest son and his wife just bought a car. We went through one of those experiences, which I would say is a stigma experience when it comes to car salesmen. And I was so disappointed because in my mind, I'm like, man, customer service is number one. And if you're looking at it through the lens of, I would like this couple to be a customer for life, then there are certain things that you do and you take care of them, right? It's not about, whatever, making money or the case of that, because there's so much more. And I think that speaks volumes for small businesses, and like what you're doing is like being attentive to that, to realize that, listen, we not only want to take care of our team, but we haven't even gotten to your guests, right? We're going to talk about the guest experience coming up too. That's like, it's the number one thing, customer service.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about earlier, you mentioned the colors and the branding and all of that. You can spend millions of dollars rebranding and changing the colors and having the prettiest website and the prettiest logo, but if you don't deliver upon that within their four walls, it's a waste of money. And so I think I might have said earlier that our brand equity is defined by our entire team. We're all a reflection of our brand. This is our company. And if you want to have new people in your chair, if you want to continue to grow, then you need to do your part to represent our brand properly. It takes a long time to develop a strong brand. It takes 1 second to tear it down. And so
Yes.
I think we've seen that, right, in the world right now. So that is something that is super important. Customer service is extremely important. The situation that you had with your son it's less about the experience today and more about the longevity, the people that they know, the people that they're going to tell, the credibility that comes with that. In a car situation, yes, you have the stigma, but in a hair situation, you have kind of that nervous feeling. If I'm having someone touch my hair, it can really change how I look and feel about myself. Is it going to come out right? And so the credibility factor is such an important part of our business structure.
As well said right there. Sarina Paulson, once again, owner of Willo Salons, 4 locations, Sacramento, Elk Grove, we got Roseville, and we got Fair Oaks. There we go, right there. So, before we bridge over to the guest experience, I do like to ask small business owners, pandemic came through. You said, you opened up in November of 2019, no crystal ball to say, oh, pandemic's coming. What were your biggest takeaways during that time, coming out of it, and how maybe your business became stronger?
So I'm sure you remember that hair salons were not essential, and so we closed for like 6 months. I think your previous, the owner of InstaPhysique probably experienced something similar. Gyms were targeted that way. So I think for me personally, I feel like it gave me grit of an amount that I couldn't even, unsurpassed amount of grit. I think as a business owner, your team always has someone to come to, right? They've got the managers, they've got you, they have people to come to for reassurance in situations, but the buck stops with you as the business owner. And so sometimes it feels like when you go to turn to say, am I doing this right? Am I making the right decision? It's like there's really not someone necessarily there to validate that. And so going through something like I did with the pandemic really gave me additional confidence and grit to say, trust your gut, trust your instincts, trust your decisions, trust your experience, but also know when to ask for help. Reach out to those people that you worked with before, the people that have been leaders. I talked to my mom who owns a business. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength.
Wow.
So that would probably be the first thing. The second thing, we really focused on our team, making sure they were sound, making sure they were okay. We focused on being a safe space that people felt confident to come to. And so we reached our team and our guests where they were at. We offered, like our Fair Oaks location, we have a little bit of an older clientele there. And so that was of concern for them during the pandemic. And so understanding what that meant, how we needed to really pivot to accommodate. And so I think, we came out stronger because we have this keen sense of being able to pivot when it's necessary. That's really the honest truth. It's just very simple. You've got to be agile, flexible.
Yeah. And the thing is with hair salons too, I felt like hair salons in particular, there was a lot of back and forth, right? Of what you could do, couldn't do. Okay, you could do it outside. Wait, nope. And right? Was that going on?
Yeah, we were closed for 3 months, open for a month, closed again. I mean, we opened and closed 3 times.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's really disruptive to your team, to your guests. It was disruptive. There were some of our staff that were like, I haven't done hair now in 6 months. Like, that doubt, like, do I remember how to do this? Like, just, it really taxes people, right? And so we brought in additional education with our partners from Aveda, just not because they didn't know how to do it. You don't forget that when you've been doing hair for 20 years, but they needed to be built back up. And so that's where we poured back into our team to make sure that they felt confident.
All right. So Sarina, let's bridge into that guest experience, right? I mean, this is what it's all about. And I love the common thread that I see with small business owners, and I use it myself, is I use the word experience, right?
Yep.
So for me on the basketball side, I deem Buzzard Ball as Northern California's complete youth basketball experience, because it's not just a league or not just a camp. It's much more than that. It's easy to see when I go to your website, talking to you, it's the same thing, right? It is about the experience. Take me through that. Describe that for you.
So what we focus our team on is that every guest, when they leave our salon, should look and feel their best. So we can certainly give the best blowout, the best color. We can give the best technical side of the experience, hands down. I have absolutely no qualms about that. But our point of difference in that in the experience is how we help people feel rejuvenated. So our team will offer a scalp massage. Our team offers hand massages when you're at the shampoo bowl. We do a thorough consultation, talk about what you're looking for. What's your lifestyle like? How do you, anybody can pull a picture up on Pinterest and say, I want to look like this. But
yeah.
Likely this, people are wearing a wig or they have somebody at home that's doing their hair, which we would all love to have, but it's not realistic. So understanding their lifestyle, and are they going to be able to continue to, recreate that look at home. So we do all of those things. Sometimes we give blowout lessons. I'm not a hairstylist, so when I can't do my hair the same as my staff does it. So how do I need to do that at home? Putting the brush in the client's hand, or the curling iron, or whatever it is, so they can recreate that look. So it's all about how they feel when they're in the salon, but also giving them the tools that they need to recreate that, so they always feel their best after they leave. So we really train to that. We focus on that. It's a point of difference of ours. One thing that I wanted to share with you, and I don't want to forget, is the most powerful thing that happened during the pandemic for me was I was standing in the Sacramento location at the front desk on the day that we reopened for like the second time. And this lady walked in and she stood there and she burst into tears. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And she said, I'm so grateful that you're open. My mental health has been struggling. My hair is gray to here. I feel terrible about how I look. I'm just so grateful. And so, she sat down in the stylist chair, and stylist they talked about what they were going to do that day and gave her a great scalp massage and hand massage. And she left, and I was at the desk. She had the biggest smile on her face. And I thought to myself, and I said to my staff, you're not just a hairstylist. It really is deeper than that, because your hair really changes how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror. And when you're in a situation like that and you feel like you don't look like your normal self, it does impact how you overall feel, right?
Absolutely.
So that's really what it's all about. That's why the experience is so important. That's why them understanding the responsibility of what we do every day is bigger than just a haircut and hair color.
Well, and I would say this, speaking to your world of hairstylists, like there's conversation. Like there's not a lot of other jobs that do that, but this one in particular, like someone sitting in the chair, they're gonna outlet their feelings or just have a nice conversation. So that piece I think is very unique to your industry.
Oh, it is. I mean, I've heard a lot. I've heard it all. Some people are going through, you don't know what people are going through, right?
Right.
This is really true really in anything, whether you're standing in line at the grocery store or your Target or you're sitting in your stylist chair. We never know what people are experiencing or what they're going through. And so extending that grace, I think, is so important. And we can all do a better job of that. But definitely the stylists do here. There's that safe space where they start talking about what's going on in their lives. So it's a really powerful thing. And I think my team realized, the term that hair salons were not essential. It kind of really reverberated in the sense that it's like, well, actually, we really are. I mean, we're more than just what we're performing behind the chair. I think guests realize that now. Yeah. And I think that our team realizes that.
Right. And I think because of what was said, and now, like you said, the realization, that's what's made you stronger. So it's weird. It's kind of a blessing in disguise, right? Kind of take you through the valley and bring you back up to the mountaintop. So good stuff there. All right, Sarina. Well, hey, we're going to take a break and come back, and it'll be our final segment. I think we have covered so much, but there's just a little bit more, and we'll have a little fun to finish it out. Again, Willo Salons is what we're talking about. We'll have everything in the show notes. I'm going to give Sarina an opportunity as well to kind of deliver the goods so that if you would like to check it out, you'll have that opportunity. So we'll take a break, hear from our three sponsors, come back with the final segment right here on Experience the Buzz. All right, great conversation going on with Sarina Paulson. Absolutely love it. Brand new format, having fun with it. I hope you're enjoying it too. Of course, drop in the comments if you'd like. If you'd like to subscribe, it's very simple. Just hit the button. You can do that both on the audio side and the video side. That's right. We're on audio. You can go to buzzardball.com, or you can simply search us in Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, or Google Podcasts, and we're on other formats as well. And then, believe it or not, we have a YouTube channel. It's very simple. Go to Experience the Buzz Podcast. And want to let you know, sometimes this is, you never know. Stevie Maida, the 11-year-old golfer that we featured last week, he's got the most views of any episode that we have done. Okay, so that's pretty cool. We don't know how that happens, but way to go, Stevie. Great conversation. So anyways, different ways to check out the conversations highlighting the people of Sacramento. Speaking of the people of Sacramento, those are our sponsors, R5 Stitch and Print, along with Little Whale Swim School and Pit Boss Jerky. R5 Stitch and Print owner is Troy Rousey. You can find them at r5print.com or call them at 916-454-3773. They will take care of you. They've taken care of me. I promise you, you are in good hands. Speaking of being in good hands, if you like beef jerky, Pit Boss Jerky, thumbs up. Nope, double thumbs up. Joe Green, the mad scientist, or better known as the Pit Boss, 12 amazing flavors, including one that is named right after the show. That goes along with the original 6 that were created, pepper garlic, Pit Boss original, sweet summer, honey gold, sweet and smoky, and little heat. Popular is island teriyaki. And then there's also one that I really enjoy is called raspberry apple chipotle. All right. So, wow, what a good menu of Pit Boss Jerky for you. And the way you get your hands on it, 2 ways. You can call the order board at 916-769-6807. And now Pit Boss Jerky is available in 3 Amy Hardware locations, 2 in Sacramento, 1 in El Dorado Hills. And if you're in the Auburn area, you can also find it at Knee Deep Brewery. And then finally, Little Whale Swim School, premier swim school in Sacramento, owned by Anya Hall. And they are located at 4106 El Camino Avenue. Everything's indoors. They've got classes for everybody. They like to say it's always summer at Little Whale. So you also, if you want to get a job that's coming up, in the spring or summer, you can reach out. I mentioned the website, littlewhaleswim.com. I can get that out. Or you can call 916-790-5945. Okay, we get to our final segment, little rapid fire, some Sacramento questions for our owner, and then pearls of wisdom coming your way from our guest, Sarina Paulson. Let's get back to the conversation.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode of Experience the Buzz by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. It means everything. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. This is it. This is going to be the final segment. Again, a brand new format in which we still interview our guests. We do not cheat the conversation, right? But we are taking a full conversation. We divided it up into two. Last week, you heard the first half of my conversation with Sarina. This is the final half of that. And of course, we're talking about everything that surrounds what Sarina does as the owner of Willo Salons. Like we said, the 4 locations. And we've been talking about so much about team, guest experience. We just, talked about the pandemic and the kind of the big pluses from that, what was learned out of that. And now we get to this spot where it's like, I kind of want to pearls of wisdom, you've been featured in Sacramento magazine and people know about you. And I think that's cool. It's kind of funny with Sacramento. I don't know if you do the same thing, but I always go in the grocery store, I always check out Sacramento magazine and the Sacktown magazine. I think those are the two. And you just kind of brush through and you go, oh, I know that person. Do you do that or is that just me?
I do that, yeah. I look to see kind of what's going on, and I follow. Obviously, social media is another great way to do that.
Yes.
It's great to see you. I feel like I always want to see everybody be successful,
of
right?
Course,
There's enough business for everybody. It's great to see what people are doing. I think that's human nature.
Okay, so I have a confession. This is my confession. When I do that, I'm like, oh man, I'd love to be in one of those magazines, right? Just for whatever reason, right? Yeah. And here, this is so funny. I retired 2 years ago from teaching. My oldest son, Toph, took my position. And what they do in those magazines is they'll do features, right? And they'll do features on private schools and stuff. So they do one on St. Michael's where I taught, and now my son teaches, and there's a full color blown picture of him and the other athletic director, Milan James. I'm like, oh my gosh, he made it before I did. But then in that moment, I said, you know what? That's pretty awesome because I think I was wishing for it too much. And isn't that cool that it was my son who got there first? So I had to take a step back and say, okay, yeah, humility right there.
Well, that's great though, because, you emulated for your son a lot, I think. But I'll tell you what, the next time we're going to do a TV segment or something, I will call you and you come in and we'll spike your hair or do something real fun and you can be on that with us.
I'm in. I'm definitely in. So, Sarina, you have given us so much knowledge and I love it because this show is about entrepreneurs, small business owners. You represent all that and being able to share your journey, and it may be a repeat of things that you said, but as you're speaking to the young entrepreneur out there, right? That maybe be in the space that you are, where I was in my journey and stuff. What are some things like that you would impart that wisdom?
You know what I think the biggest thing is, especially with our newer generations, is things do not just come to you. You have got to roll up your sleeve and have grit, and you've got to work hard. I tell this to my kids all the time. You have to work hard. And you can't accept mediocrity. Yeah, you may get from, A to M by just doing what you do, but why would you just strive to just be average, right? In anything that you do. So I think really I would say is put in the work, do the work hard, strive to be the best that you can be and bring people along with you. I feel like that is what we all need to be telling the newer generations. And I know that sounds really elementary, but it's really the honest truth is hard work is what it takes.
Yes. Hard work. Absolutely. And it's kind of cool because I'm thinking of I just had this vision of you as a young girl watching your mom. And whether you know it or not, Kate is probably doing the same thing, right? She's watching mom do her thing, obviously probably very proud of you and stuff. And so just to think that, but we have to feed that. We have to feed those, I guess you can call them old school values if you want. But truly, I do think there's something missing, and we kind of have to get back to what it is that you just described.
Well, I think technology is a big portion. Think about it. You can DoorDash, you can Amazon Prime, you can Target, curbside. Everything just happens, right? This sense of I want it, I get it. easily, right? But when we were kids, that wasn't the case. It was the whole thing. Even when I had my kids, I had to load them into the grocery cart. And I mean, they're not that old, and push them through. And I'm like trying to figure out with the baby carrier, the 2.5-year-old, where to put the toilet paper. I mean, that's real reality then. Right now, you just pull up, press the button, and somebody puts it in the trunk for you. So there's all of these changes, like societal changes, that are leading to that. And so I think it's the constant reminder that, yes, some things are more convenient. That doesn't replace hard work. And I tell my daughter, during the summers and stuff, she's an avid equestrian, and that is an expensive sport. And so I make her come to the salon and sweep hair, fold towels. She assists the stylist. They love when I bring her into the salon, and our manager, Chelsea, made her a little assistant manager name tag. And she helps, she dusts the shelves and things like that. Same as what my mom did for my brother and I when we were kids. Because, we provide a lot for our kids, just like you did, but they need to understand that there's effort that comes from them too, not just maintaining grades, but also putting in the work.
Oh, it's so well said. That is the absolute truth. Okay, so parents, you heard that right there. It's very simple. Don't complicate it. We got hard work is at the top of the list. So with Sacramento, what are some of your great memories of Sacramento, whether it be growing up as an adult, anything stand out to you? Because we love this city.
Yeah, I loved going to the Kings game with our parents. And it's so exciting because, they're doing so great this season. So we're super proud of them. But it's really fun. I went last night with some of my staff and just seeing the stadium packed again, this Golden Run Center, like it used to be when we were kids. So that brings back great memories, and I hope we'll do the same for my kids. But really, I think just the involvement in community stuff. I did youth group at St. Mel's. I worked at Loaves and Fishes. My mom would take me to do a lot of those things. But my dad too. When he was in politics and stuff, just going door to door with him and things like that. And so those are really the memories that I have from being a kid. I mean, obviously I played soccer, basketball, all of those things, but I think the things that doing things with my parents were the ones that generated the most, fond memories.
Nice. Okay, so there's a lot of great restaurants, places to eat. Where does the Paulson family go? Either, it could be growing up as, a young child and stuff, your favorite spot, but maybe now as a family, with kids and everything, where do you guys like to go?
So our favorite is Piatti's.
Let's go.
Piatti's. It's my favorite restaurant. And then, of course, we do the kids stuff like Cheesecake Factory and things like that. But I would say Piatti's. Downtown, we love going. Like Camden, Spin and Larder. We've been to House a couple times. Obviously, if you're going to the arena, Echo and Rig is a great one. So, I mean, it's hard sometimes with littler kids to go to some of the restaurants that take a little bit longer, but our staple is definitely Piatti's.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's a good list that you gave us right there. And then lastly, as a business owner, what are the main thing or couple things that you're most proud of where you are?
Let's see. The first would be that we've continued to grow and that we maintain jobs for our entire team. I think that is a win. Every single member of our team still has a job and has grown actually over the past 3.5 years. We added a 4th location in Elk Grove about 1.5 years ago. So, growing and adding a location during this time, I think is an accomplishment. We've won Best of Sacramento 2 years in a row. So I'm really proud of that, and we're so grateful to the community for their votes and support. So I would say, those are the biggest things, just weathering the storm, but doing so in a way with grace, with growth. I've watched so many on my team develop, and, I'm so proud of every single member of our team. I'm really proud of our management team. They've grown exponentially in the last 3.5 years. Some of that's not by choice, probably because of the experiences that we've had, but they're just, watching, we're pretty much we're women owned and pretty much a women operated business. So
love it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that leads to, the future. It does that when you look into the future, I try not to look too far. I know people sometimes do 5-10-year plans and stuff, but I know with my business, I just kind of say, I just go with the 1% rule. Be 1% better each day. Always look to say, how can we better the product? Like we're finishing up our basketball league. So I've got my list of notes to say, okay, how's it going to look better next year, right? For you in this industry, I know you've mentioned the word growth, but is there anything else that you would throw in there when you look to the future of Willo Salons?
Obviously we'll continue to do all things like you mentioned that businesses do, but I think the biggest thing is to continue to further education of our team. We're really focused this year on bringing in different techniques to kind of really be cutting edge and lead the charge in the industry. We've also really been focused from a technological standpoint on that. So we just launched purchase your products in our app, and pick up at the salon. So we're really focused from a technological standpoint. So I think it's really taking the things that we have and elevating those things. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and talk about growth in terms of just we want to have
good point.
Yeah. I think it's making sure we continually provide our staff what they need to continue to grow, and then also making sure that we're the leader in the industry. If we accomplish those things this year, I'll be really pleased with that.
Yeah, and be the blueprint for other salons to say, we want to emulate that, right? Like that's what I strive for, like be the blueprint.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had other salons reach out to me to ask for guidance on things like that, and I welcome that. I think that, like I said, there's enough business in Sacramento for everybody. There's a salon for everybody, right? Everybody provides something different. And so I think if you spend too much time focusing on the competition, you don't focus on the things that matter. You're your own biggest competition, really.
Right.
And so, I think that's right. Focusing on the blueprint for others.
Okay. Final word goes to you. Let everybody know how they can find you.
So I think the best thing to do would be to go to willosalons.com. You can see all of our staff on there and really research their experience and what they like to specialize in. Obviously, following us on Willo Veda on Instagram is a great way to see our work also. And we would love for you to come into the salon. We do offer all new guests a complimentary treatment for your hair, which is a $30 value with any service. So.
Okay, and by the way, the Willo is Willo.
That's right. Thank you, Willo.
No W at the end. That's very key. No W. All right, very good. Well, Sarina, you've done it. Your first podcast in the books.
Thank you. Yes, see, so I did it with you. So how awesome is that?
Yeah, it was great. It's great to highlight people like you, Sarina, and I appreciate the time. We're going to take a break and basically a final word and then get you ready for what's coming next week. Hope you enjoyed the new format. Would love your feedback. Of course, we would love for you to subscribe. All that does is alert you to new material that we usually have it coming out on the weekly every Friday. And then just drop in there whether you like that, the new format or not, or keep it as is or whatever. We're just trying new things and having some fun along this podcast journey. She is Sarina Paulson. I am Steve Buzzard, and I'll be back with a final word. All right, so there you have it. We've done it. It's a brand new format. Sarina, big thank you to her for joining us and being able to not only share her story, but also the journey of Willo Salons and its success that it's had here in the Sacramento area, as well as Elk Grove and Roseville and Fair Oaks. So she's doing it in 4 locations with a mighty team, and you heard her. Her emphasis is on team and customer service. So I think she laid it out very, very well. If you're an entrepreneur, this would kind of be that blueprint podcast that you would want to listen to get those pearls of wisdom. So next week, I don't know who's coming, but there's going to be somebody, and we're going to continue with this format. Be sure to subscribe, and that will alert you to new episodes that are coming. And you can also drop in the comments and let us know what you think about the brand new format right here on Experience the Buzz. That's all I got for now. Talk to you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for joining Steve this week on Experience the Buzz. Steve would love to hear from you. Leave a review or contact Steve directly with any questions at scbuzzard@gmail.com. To see the other adventures of Steve Buzzard, be sure to visit buzzardball.com.